Southern France has a lot of great food, old villages filled with beautiful architecture, orchards and vineyards for miles, and a surprising amount of really great hiking. We set out on this day to explore an old hermitage built into the cliff walls of a place called Galamus Gorge. Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we are hiking down into Galamus Gorge, which is a gorge here in the northern foothills of the Pyrenees in southern France. And we're going to go down to a hermitage that is built into the cliff walls down here. This should be a pretty fun hike. I've been here before. This was before I was filming things for a YouTube channel. This is a relatively short hike, probably round trip a little less than a mile, but it's definitely worth it. It's a pretty steep descent into the gorge up to the hermitage. Now, Galamus Gorge is a limestone gorge, and the gorge runs through a mountain range called the Funwieta. Hopefully I got that right. If not,
pardon my French.
Now, as you descend into the gorge, you're going to run into signs like this at the base of some of the trees and shrubs, identifying what they are. Now, of course, these are all in French, so I will put the English translations up on the screen so you'll be able to see what kind of plants these are. So this trail is pretty well established. You should have no problems finding it. It's just going to be a little gravelly and rocky, so you want to take your time and watch your step. There will be several rocky areas that you can stop and kind of overlook the gorge. If you look up there, you can see where the road runs. Now we're going to take the drive up this gorge. This road is pretty crazy. It's one lane and they have cut it into the cliffside, so it's a pretty dramatic drive. And over here, I don't know if you can see the hermitage down there in the cliff, and that is where we are heading. So I've been down here in the southeastern France here for a few days, and this is kind of the first day that we've had a good amount of sunshine. It's been real windy and cloudy. But today turned out to be pretty nice, although it is getting a little cloudy. It'll add some drama to the footage. So you want to be a little careful. It's a little slippery out here and it's a little bit exposed. You definitely do not want to slip over the edge because it's a long ways down. One of the nice things about doing this hike is that it is fairly shaded. It's kind of hot today. Most of this is on the north facing slope of the canyon, so it's got a lot of shaded areas. This whole area is just absolutely spectacular. As you probably saw in some of the drive footage as we were coming up here, there are tons of vineyards in the valley below. It's really nice looking country. And you're going to find little things like this. This cave goes back a little ways, but I don't think we're going to go in there. It does look tempting though. So this is looking into the gorge. Evidently people put on wetsuits and they hike down the gorge from up above. There's going to be periods of hiking, rock scrambling, and swimming that you're going to have to do if you come down here. Now you're going to run into one trail that comes off and heads down into the gorge. But as you can see, they're recommending helmets, harnesses, and a wetsuit. And they're saying you shouldn't be going down into this section without that kind of equipment. The Saint-Anthony of Galamus troglodyte hermitage was cut out of the rock on the side of Galamus Gorge by Franciscan monks in the 7th century. Originally, it was only a single cave containing pools of water, but in the 15th century, the friars minor of St. Francis established the cave chapel, which became the Hermitage. The inhabitants of the Hermitage lived there in faith in the image of Saint Anthony the Great. In 1782, the village of St. Paul, then affected by a great epidemic of suet or sweating sickness, turned to St. Anthony the Great. The latter is said to have heard the prayers of the villagers and delivered the village from the disease. After the miraculous end to the epidemic in 1782, the cave behind the Hermitage became a chapel. Water drips from stalactites, gleams over walls, and fills the font behind the cross. In the courtyard, a sycamore planted in 1782 still grows through the middle of a rock. The Hermitage and its surroundings have been protected since 1927. So the monk that used to live here, this is his grave, and he was here from 1854 to 1870. So you can do this as a loop hike. You can come down this way, and then after you go through the Hermitage, you get onto this trail, and this works its way back up to the top of the cliff where the road is, and there's another pull out. So we're going to walk up there. There's a tunnel that we have to go through, though, and a big iron gate, and my lovely wife showing us the way. Got to watch your head. This is a low ceiling, and with this being a GoPro, the light gathering qualities of it are pretty bad, so. Ah, there we go. Uh-huh.
It's medicinal plants.
Ah. All right, so we are almost to the road. Like I was saying, it's a relatively short hike, but definitely worth it. That was pretty cool. I really like going down there. It's a pretty neat place to check out. But we're going to walk up the road here, and you'll see what I mean by that this road's pretty narrow. I guess we got a tunnel we got to walk through too, so it should be pretty fun. All right, up ahead here is the parking area where we started. One of the nice things about hiking here in Europe is you'll end up running into little cafes in odd places where you can go in and get some really good coffee and pastries. It's delicious. All right, so we're back in the parking lot and to the car, and we're going to take a drive up along the gorge here. I'm going to film all this so you can see what a crazy looking drive this is. Born at the foot of the peak of Gorge, the Oakley cuts through the limestone, sculpting spectacular and atypical morphologies. In the 1880s, workers rappelled down the rock face and carved out this road using little more than crowbars and hammers. Their aim was to link two villages in the area with an open road between the countries of Cathar and Catalan. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this adventure, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. If you ever find yourself in the area, I'd highly recommend checking out the Galamus Gorge Hermitage. This is a really cool place. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Journey.